Welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. Brought to you by Primary Arms. So, everybody, how's everybody doing?
Surviving.
Surviving.
Oh, now we can start the podcast because Miss Thang's here.
I'm here.
Oh, now it's a party. So, Sharonda, since you're showing up late, you get to go first. What'd you do?
Oh, well, I played it with my blind in the house.
Shocker. Actually, I'm really disappointed you didn't do that in the first place. And yeah, I know you gave me the long list of excuses, but still.
Yeah. Oh, today I went and sighted in another scope. I did that a couple of hours ago, and then I wanted to have some fun, and I changed my chokes out and shot slug through my over-under just to see how it feels, and I think I'm in love with it all over again.
That's a good thing.
Then get ready to go on another hunt.
Yeah.
And adulting. That's it. I don't really have anything that's exciting to really share other than I played in the blind in the house.
That's always fun.
Yep.
One of these days, one of these days, maybe I'll do the podcast from blind.
Huh.
Done it.
Just gave me an idea.
Right? Jason, what you been up to?
Nothing.
Nothing? Not even work?
A little bit.
All right, then. So you did something.
Well, I did that. I've been
good.
Cleaning out our shop, our storage unit, which is ever so exciting. And I'm almost done. I can actually see the end of the tunnel.
Now, Jason, are you doing that in preparation for something, maybe?
If I get to leave California, my boss wants to retire. He actually wanted to retire last year, but he kind of wanted to keep me going while I was here. So we're trying to make everything happen, even though we don't know a schedule yet.
Awesome.
But yes, but work's slow right now. We've got work that's not ready yet, and he's scrambling to try to get some more work, but everybody's kind of freaking out because they don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does. I'm sorry.
But I'm good. I got food. I got bullets. I got things to do.
Well, if you've got primers, you could pretty much buy anything in the world right now.
Were you thinking about moving? What state you thinking about moving to?
Up there next to
oh Lord.
Yeah.
The real
5 hours away.
Goblin.
That's horrendous. So it's not like I'll get any on me.
Well, see, this is what I'm hoping, because Jason and I have kind of figured like a central meeting point that each of us travels about 2 hours. And it just so happens that 2-hour spot that we're kind of in between each other is where I shoot 3-gun once a month.
Oh.
So I'm hoping get old Jason come down, shoot some 3-gun with me sometime too.
I don't think he moves that fast.
We'll get a wheelchair if we have to. But
and if I fall down and you have to pick me up, it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Jason.
Chris just comes in going at the knees. Do y'all see his comment?
Yes, he is. Oh,
it's sitting right there. It's
Chris
right there.
Sharp. He's moving next to Travis as a way to get his box shipped to him. Isn't that the truth?
And David Emery, I'm a commercial painter.
How do you get the paint to stick on the TV like that?
It's tricky, Mike. It's a lot of science.
Can I have your curtains when you move?
You gonna help me move? I'll give them to you.
As long as I get to get some of that other stuff you have in that room.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Big old hell no. Yeah, there you go, Spud Man. You got a point there.
So, Spud Man, have you ever seen Trailer Park Boys?
Oh, God.
Where Julian, there's a guy named Julian. He has a drink with him. He never puts it down. There's like 12 seasons or something, like 16 maybe, and he has a drink with him the whole time. Never puts it down. I'm sure Jason could be like that.
I don't know. I kind of envision Jason because he's got the voice where it's like, I don't always shoot 3 guns. But when I do, kind of Dos Equis like, he's got the beard going, distinguished gentleman thing. I could see him.
Oh, my goodness. Jason, Idaho Rogers, USMC has a question for you. Portraits or landscapes?
Landscapes.
Crikey. There you go.
Nice, Chris. I knew there was a reason I liked you. You know all about Trailer Park Boys.
I am not explaining that one. You can, Travis. So Chris Sharp said for a second I thought Travis was calling Jason Bubble for that show. And Bubble is one of the characters.
Yeah, his name's Bubbles.
Yep, and I'm not explaining it. So go watch Trailer Park Boys and you'll figure it out. Because I'm not explaining Trailer Park Boys. That's like explaining Letterkenny. It's just not a good idea. So.
Sharinda, you're looking for a meat sack?
Yep.
Is that like a code for husband or boyfriend or anything like that, or what?
I mean, I am looking for a gun sugar daddy, so sure.
Oh, my goodness. So I guess the question would be, what do you consider a meat sack? Because there is lots of different varieties, on a serious note.
So I needed to, like, if I don't necessarily need the heavy one, I only need it for the day, like a soft one to bring home some breast.
So what you need to do then is you need to go to your local grocery store or your local Walmart, and those freezer bags they sell for like 99 cents, you buy one of those.
Didn't work that well.
You actually bought one and tried it?
Yeah. I was trying to be cheap.
I thought it would still better than that. So.
Nah. I think I end up getting like a zipper one. Like, I definitely don't want a Yeti. Like, I don't want a $300 bag, but I need something that's sturdy.
Yeah. All right. So send those meat sack suggestions to reloadingpodcast@gmail.com and we'll forward those on to Sharinda.
Yeah. Sharinda needs it for hunting.
Nick, what you been up to?
Load some more ammo for some of my military rifles.
Nice.
Went shooting on yesterday, actually. Did some chronograph work with them. Actually found a load for one of the rifles that is pretty good. Out of 10 rounds, a extreme spread of 30, standard deviation of 10. So for a military rifle from 1892, that's pretty dang good.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was outstanding.
Yeah,
and that's moving a cast bullet, so it's not like it's moving a FMJ. It's
so you were cheating.
Well, I don't know if I would call that cheating, but
well, you know.
Yeah.
See, here I thought you got like some FMJ ammo and stuff, but no, you cheated.
Well, I did do FMJ load with that. Let's see how that turned out. I did. That wasn't as good. I have some room I need to work on with that. So that one was an extreme spread of 123, standard deviation of 35 out of a 10-shot group. So not terrible.
Factory, or was that your reloads with?
My reloads. So.
Well, that's pretty good then. So,
Were they powder coated, Nick?
They were.
even better.
Traitor. You kids. You kids.
Well, I even convinced Dad to start powder coating, and he always pan lubed before I got on the podcast here, and we started listening to podcasts even more and more, and he decided to get into powder coating. So,
So what's your color of choice?
I agree with that, Mike, but good job, Nick.
What's Dad's color of choice?
well, we all use a certain one. I have the red and like a blue. He's so far using the same colors. We haven't started to get any odd colors yet. I think I'm gonna get like a kind of a deeper red, like kind of like the Russian Soviet red. So I load up like 7.62 by 54, kind of do like that Soviet round, and then it kind of I'll start experimenting with some other ones.
That'd be fun.
So, but I don't have zombie green. But we have a buddy that's a big like Walking Dead fan. We're trying to get him to get into casting and powder coating, and because he'd do all his bullets in zombie green. So
Yeah, I have a buddy who's real big Seattle Seahawks fan. So I got some colors, and I don't know. Have you tried like mixing colors and stuff or sprinkling? Because it's real cool with powder coat. You can like let's say you take a blue or a green, whatever, one solid color. And then you could like sprinkle different colors on top, and then it does like some real cool effects and stuff with it.
we haven't. We need to. We're looking at trying some different things out. So
Like Full Lead Taco, he does more powder coating than anyone I know of, and he'll just randomly mix colors together. And some colors, instead of like you would think like a liquid that mixes together and makes a different color, most powder coats actually stay in the color that they were mixed in with, so it does like a sparkly Robin Zaggy type of mixture. It's really cool. So like when you run pretty low, you just kind of mix them all together, and you'll kind of get like some cool colors and stuff.
Okay.
Travis, what you been up to?
So I did a lot this week. So I had my electrician buddy come over, and we completely rewired my whole basement. And we did all new wiring along my new reloading wall. We put in a whole bunch of new lights. I got certain lights, like I got a special light just above the review table for when we do product review stuff. I got a nice setup there. It's just really nice down here now. I can actually clean up and get more organized. Besides that, Mike knows I am very impatient, and I couldn't wait. I've been looking for a certain rifle. It's a Ruger American Predator in 223. The only place I could find was on Gunbroker. And it wasn't that much more to get it off of Gunbroker. And like I say, once it came available on Gunbroker, I just went ahead and purchased one. So I got that in. It's sitting right over here on the table. Put a Vortex HST 4-16 scope on it. And it's going to be like my Coyote Prairie Dog setup. And I got that one specifically because it takes AR mags. So it's a removable AR magazine. I thought that was just perfect for shooting prairie dogs. Then just been reloading. I reloaded 1,000 rounds of 223 the other night. Getting ready to run another 1,000 rounds this weekend. Then I'll switch over and do some 9mm. I did find another gentleman getting rid of some more reloading equipment that he no longer needed. So I picked up a couple more items.
I'm starting to question this. Are you finding these gentlemen, or are you like mob bullying them out of their reload and stuff? Because
I think he's robbing them.
Nobody's that lucky, Travis.
I got a couple more Press is sitting right over there. I picked up. I have been thinking to myself, it's probably not really nice to do, but I've been thinking how I should maybe possibly start watching the obituaries and seeing when I see some key words like the gentleman was a big outdoorsman, really big into hunting, fishing. That's when I hit up those widows. Maybe see what they got.
Travis,
See if they got any of them primers.
Of reloading.
Wow.
I mean, it's just a thought I've been thinking of.
Maybe you could become one of those black widows.
Whatever. I need some primers, guys. Whatever.
That killed their significant others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you probably don't need primers because you probably are sitting on a few 100,000.
No, I got enough for my years, my 1 year of shooting 3-gun, but then I need more after that, and I'm looking more long term here. I'm kind of like on Paul Nelson's page right now.
There you go.
Maybe Paul and I will have to work something out and fly to the Netherlands and pick up some of them primers we were looking at.
All the ones that I found and posted. You're welcome.
Yes. Yep.
So if you actually do that, I get 10% finder's fee. The other day in Discord, we were having a conversation about this, and so I hopped on and found some Cellier and below primers for sale at a custom gun store in the Netherlands. So.
Yeah, David Emery, the whole being able to reload primers is cool. I like the idea. But there's no way I'm going to reload primers on the scale that I need for a year. I mean, we had that guy on from, what is it, Mike?
22 reloader.
22 reloader, and he's got that nice kit where you can reload your primers and stuff, and I think that's really great. But for me, that would be more like we're in desperate need, go Wolverines type of situation. That's when I would be reloading primers, not right now in this current state.
Confucius says, don't leave your 550 on the floor where you can kick it. Sweet. Yeah. He says, especially when you talk about using over 1,000 primers in a week. Yeah, it would take a while to do. So, but it sounds like his cup making is coming along nicely. So that might be out soon. And then you could kind of do your primers like you do pan lube. If you think about it, Travis.
Well, if we could come up with a machine that I could just dump some powder in, and then turn it on, and it was just pumping out primers out the other end, I'd be down for that.
Why don't you make one?
I would probably blow myself up.
Yes, you would.
Tell you what, Travis, you mail me that package you have for me.
Uh-huh.
And send me $10,000, and I'll ship you that machine that does that for you.
Oh, sweet!
I promise.
I'll do the transaction in person, Jason.
Make sure you deliver the 10,000 6 weeks in advance to prepare for shipping. But he doesn't use Iceland shipping, so you're all good.
Well, my shipping as of late for Jason isn't any better than Iceland delivery either.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I did a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I got a bunch of wads from a guy on Saturday morning for 300 primers. So that wasn't a bad deal.
How many wads? I'm trying to figure out a currency. There's got to be a ratio here for us reloaders. So what's a primer worth in the reloading world now? Like,
Well, it depends. These were 209 primers.
Oh.
But I got, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of 750 Alcan Flight Max wads. And then I got one bag of, I think, 500 log uniwads. So
Cool.
I'm sure Paul Nelson recognizes those names. I sent pictures to Leon Guthrie, who was on a few weeks ago when we were doing shot shells, and he's like, "Ooh, I'm excited." So, but
Do you ever reload a 28 gauge?
no, I don't own a 28 gauge, so I don't have any reason to load 28.
Yeah, me either. But I got a whole bunch of holes.
Sell them.
I think you should buy a 28 gauge.
That's even better option.
I do
That's too much.
too. That way, when you get tired of it, then I can buy it from you.
How about one of you guys buy a 28 gauge and I'll ship you some holes.
I can't
you
even
ship me
afford
the
to
holes
use
first.
that.
I ain't falling for that again. Not gonna happen.
Paul Loud just said Powder Valley pulled all their primers off the website. We've still been getting them in at Cabela's here and there. I mean, I was surprised we got 2 bricks of CCI small magnum or small rifle magnums in.
Well, do you hear what you're saying though? You got 2 bricks.
Right.
That's really sad.
Yeah, it is, but it's better than not getting any.
Yeah.
Did you buy them?
Nope. Because at the time we had a limit of buying 200 packs at a time. And I decided it wasn't even worth the hassle of clocking out to go on break and go up and pay for them. So,
I can understand that.
but now they changed it. So now you can buy 10. So you can buy 1,000. So the next time we get some in, yes, I will be buying some. So
that's like
not
our
that
local big box store got probably 20 cases easily, a small rifle and pistol, and a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, how long did that last?
I bought those. Let's see, when did I buy mine? I bought mine, I think it was a couple weeks ago. Where was it at? I bought those on the 9th of January. I haven't been back in there since.
Yeah.
So they're more than likely gone, but I was shocked to see that many. It was.
Yeah, that is kind of, especially for a local gun shop. So, but
I haven't looked lately, but the last time we dried up, I had way better luck at my local gun shop than I did the big stores.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wasn't always the brand you wanted or this or that, but it seemed like more often than not when you went in there was something.
Yeah, it's getting so bad. Some of my friends, it's funny just listening to each other talk about this stuff because I feel like we're like maybe back in high school doing drug deals or something.
Yeah, it does seem like drug deals.
Because I've heard my buddy sent me a picture the other day. Like, I'm going to go meet this guy. He's got some primers. I'm going to go get, just the way he's talking. And then he sends me a picture. It was a brick of 1,000 Wolf primers, and it's just making you feel real kind of shady doing some of this stuff. My other buddy picked up, what was it, 4,000 CCI pistol primers at a gun show and paid $600.
What?
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but you're seeing prices worse than that on Gunbroker.
Yes.
And stuff like that. So I've got an idea. Jorgen, how close do you live to the border? Because see, Canada's got primers. So here's my thought. Jorgen and I are going to meet at some undisclosed location along the border somewhere. He's going to stand about 30 feet back and then slingshot him over the border at me.
You flash your lights twice and he'll do it 3 times. And
that's right. See?
Yeah, but it's getting so bad. Like when I've like torn some stuff apart or whatever, and I decap a piece of brass, and there's a live primer. Now I make sure I pick it up and I set it aside. Or before I used to just wipe it all off onto the ground. I didn't care. Now I'm setting everyone aside.
Yeah,
it's getting real rough out there.
I don't know. I guess I'm not panicking over it. I don't have a lot. I mean, as I said a few weeks ago, I thought I had a couple thousand more small pistol primers than I did because the kid put the empty packages back in where I store them. But
oops.
I don't know. I guess I'm not panicking. So I guess I don't know why people who are sitting around with 20, 30, 10,000, 30,000 are panicking and worrying about primers. I get it if you shoot competition. That's one thing. But there's a lot of people that are just normal reloaders, and they're sitting around and they're complaining and they're panicking because they've only got 10,000 small rifle primers or small pistol primers.
Because if you can't replace them, you don't feel like using them up, or you're less likely to use them up. I understand that.
It's to a point.
I don't necessarily agree with it, but
right.
Like for me, I look at my shelf and I've got a decent pile right there, but I look at that as how many times can I go and do the activities that I want to go do.
Right.
So for me, I'm looking at that and I'm like, I get to shoot this year, but if I can't replace that many that I have sitting on the shelf, then my next year I don't get a shoot, or it depends on how many I can, get from now till then. Do I only get to shoot once a month? Do I get to shoot every other month? Do I, that's how I'm looking at my supply right now. But yeah, where you're saying some guys who maybe only shoot one, a couple hundred rounds a month, if that, and they're storing away 10,000, maybe a retired guy going to the store and picking up all the primers he can, and then people who actually use them can't pick them up. Makes it hard.
Yeah. That's why I was kind of pissed when when Bass Pro came back and said you could buy 10. It was very happy to have the 2, because 200 primers, Craig said it makes it difficult when you need to work up a load. I can get that. But if you can go into your, if everybody was actually being behave, shall we say, and everybody wasn't running in and buying every frickin' single one they could buy in the store just to have them sit in their basement and collect dust, then you could walk into your local gun store, or you could walk into a Cabela's or a Bass Pro or an Academy or a Sportsman's Warehouse, and you could buy 200 primers and go on your merry way. And you could go do your load workup. And then you could come back and get another 100 to do that load. So, I mean, if you're a competitive shooter, that's one thing. I get it. I do understand that point of it, because, if, say, 3-gun, you shoot 4 matches, that could easily be almost 5,000 rounds.
That's pretty extreme, but...
Well, I'm just throwing it out there.
Right.
It's probably more like,
I'd say you probably do what? 200-ish rounds.
Yeah,
pistol, 200 rounds rifle.
Right.
Per match.
So, well, I was talking you, because, you got to shoot at the target like 15 times with that 9mm to knock it over.
Get a 40 and you won't use any primers. But don't shoot your eye out.
The last 3 weeks, I haven't been able to go to Walmart and get my, usually every January, I start buying a box of shot shell. Shells are tumbleweed.
Why are you buying shot shells?
Because it's a habit, and as much as I shoot, I figured I'd still stock up my shelf and load too, since they're only like $23 a box.
So you're gonna shoot crap shells, and then when you shoot your regular shells and you're hitting everything, and then you switch to your crap shells and miss everything, you're gonna wonder what the hell happened.
No, actually, the crap shells will be for the ladies that I take out and introduce.
Well, then that would be a valid reason.
Some logic.
Okay, so that's a valid reason. So,
Well, I can't fault anyone for just going. I should have been doing it a long time ago. Like Craig in the chat says, every time he'd go into Sportsman's, he'd pick up 1,000, 2,000 primers every single time. And I don't know if you remember listening to the Gun Dudes, Mike, and that's what they always used to preach was every payday,
go buy a box of ammo.
Go buy a box of ammo. And I have a friend. This was maybe 2 years ago, and I kind of blew him off. I didn't think much of it. Maybe 3 years ago. His plan was he was selling off some of his rifles and stuff that he didn't use, and he was converting those into reloading components. And he's an older guy, and he kind of had his plan all laid out to where he figured out how much he shoots a year and how much components he would need basically for the rest of his shooting career. And that's what he kind of set his goal as. And now I'm like, man, that guy had the right idea. That guy's set,
Yeah. So, I mean, you can do it both ways. Do I think the primer shortage is going to last forever? No.
Well, okay. So
is this worse than 2012 was? Yes. But here's the difference. The reason this is worse is because they were still running at full production that whole time. This time they weren't. And so now they're trying to catch up, and they can't catch up because everybody's still stockpiling, and you don't have the limits. If everybody would slow down on some of their buying for a month, you would see a big change in the amount of supplies that are on the shelves. But everybody panics and everybody's grabbing what they can as soon as they see it. I've got guys that come into the shop, and just because there's a pound of powder on the shelf, they're buying it because they can figure out something to do with it.
Right.
Even though we've gotten 90 pounds of powder in the last 2 weeks.
Well, see, I bought this. I don't. You just said it. I did the exact same thing though. I picked this up because it was on the shelf. Right. I don't have any use for this, but I figured I got all the, I could at some point. But the nice thing is I literally just had a friend ask me if I had any powder for 338 Lapua. And I have this, so he's going to come pick this up here in a little bit. So
there you go.
I mean, I can't blame anyone for doing that because people are scared that, and I know you've heard this, Mike, we're looking at a projected possibly 3 years or more before our ammo comes back in stock like it was, not even like it used to be, but just up back in stock.
But that's the same issue. So Cabela's on Sunday, as David had alluded to earlier, it was like sharks circling chum. We put out over 150 100-round boxes of 9mm. It lasted 45 minutes. And most of the people that were buying it are in there every single day looking for ammo. And they probably sit on their frickin' ass and do not a damn thing and never go to the range.
That's where I get annoyed.
They're limited to 5 boxes a piece, but I mean that's what's allowed. So, but what I'm saying is, if we, and obviously you're not going to get people like that to do that because they're the same idiots that are at the gun shows trying to turn around and sell that 100-pack they paid $27 for at $75 or $100 because they're jackasses or they're assholes.
Well, I got a guy who comes into my job, does that. He'll come in, he'll buy my 100-round boxes of 5.56, everything, and he's going to turn around and sell it on Gunbroker for double, triple as that. I just need to stop selling him stuff when I'm there.
Yeah, it's the same exact situation when 22 was hard to find. You had a lot of retired guys going in, and that Walmart, all those places. That's when they started limiting how many boxes they could get because these, and I'm just going to say it was mostly the older gentlemen who were retired that had nothing better to do.
They had time to go.
They had time to go where most of us are at work. We can't go and pick them up till after work. And when we get there, it's all gone because these other people swooped in, and then they turn around and try to make a triple the profit off of them. And I know a couple of gun shops that actually go into Sportsman's, and they know when their deliveries are, and they'll buy up anything they can. They'll send several employees in, buy everything they can, then take that to their gun store and mark it up significantly.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
So, I mean, we are causing, at this point in time, we are causing the shortage. We, as the consumer, that's the bottom line right now, is we are causing the shortage. Just like they were in 2012 and in 2013. By February and March, the industry had recovered. But you still had the consumers that were you're driving the panic. So, yeah, I mean, Craig's right, supply and demand. It is. But, I mean, that's the thing is, I don't want to have companies police us, but it's kind of come to the point where that's what needs to happen in order to stop the stupidity. Is as much as I don't want to see something like this, it may come down to this where you have to show ID to get the ammo. And if you were in last week or the week before and you bought a shit ton of ammo, then you're regulated for, this would be something for a month and then you're done. And then they can't do it anymore. But if people can't pay attention to themselves, and obviously this is wild and ridiculous, and it's actually really kind of a stupid idea. But I mean, if that's what has to happen to get the ability to get everything back, then I've got brand new shooters buying guns for me and I can't give them ammo. They are buying a brand new gun because either they have finally figured out, hey, the Second Amendment's a really good idea, or they're scared shitless because they know that cops aren't going to get there in time and they need to protect themselves and they can't get ammo. Not even FMJs because of this shit.
Yeah, the shop
Well,
I work at, they're not selling to the public, but they got enough ammo where if you're buying a gun, you can walk out with practice and defensive rounds.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen defensive rounds at Cabela's in 2 months. Good luck with that, Jordan. Jorgen says, maybe we the workers must take control of the means of production. Viva la ammo. So,
well, us going through this shortage right now, it's another perfect example and a good reason. Like, I don't need to, for most part, except for some rifle stuff, I don't need to look for projectiles because I can cast.
Same here.
Mike can cast, Nick can cast, all of us on the panel, we can cast. But there are certain things that we do still need. We need the primers and the powder.
I have plenty of powder. I have plenty of powder, and I can make primers if I need to. So that's kind of why, most people who know me know that I don't get out shooting a lot, especially now that I'm back editing the podcast. I mean, that takes a lot of idea. So, and, that's kind of the thing. So, so West Covina Dodge said, I don't agree, float that idea, and I won't buy from you forever. And I know, like I said, it's a stupid idea. That's why I said it's a stupid idea, because exactly is something that those on the other side of the aisle would come up with. Look at California. That's what they're doing. So.
Well, don't feel bad, Mike. You already have to show an ID to buy ammo in my state. So.
Yes, you do.
I think we need to get government involved in this. That'll fix everything.
Yeah, because that's worked well for California.
Yeah, just like
well, I'm leaving. See ya.
Just back to using our ammo and stuff as in a drug reference. If there's a will, there's a way. When Sportsman's limits me to 1 pound of powder, I get the 1 pound of powder, and then I send my wife in, and then I send my kid in. And then I call my friends who don't even reload or anything. I say, hey, stop by there and pick me up one of those, would you? It just makes it harder for somebody. It doesn't stop them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like I have to go pick up. I'm hopefully going to go pick some more powder up. This load I tried with my new rifle. It's one of Accura's powders they barely produce. It's 5744. You rarely see it. So I'm going to have to go buy a couple pound or two at least because I have some other guns I want to try loads in it for. So when it's an obsolete powder and they make it once a year, in normal times, I almost have to stock up on that now since you can find it when you normally won't be able to find it even during normal times.
Yeah, I think right now for us reloaders and stuff, we've already gone through this once. Shame on, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. So now I'm to the point where if we can get back to where we can just purchase the stuff that we want, for me, I guarantee I won't be in the situation that I'm at now. I will severely stock up on things that I need.
Really? You learned your lesson this time?
This time.
Sure you did.
But I mean, that's why I have alternative solutions. So, I mean, that's because typically in the past, I didn't have the funds to stock up and buy 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 primers at a time. Plus, they would have just sat and take up space because I wasn't shooting that much. So,
right. You can always go.
Lose some weight because I'm going to pass up on Taco Tuesdays and spend that taco money on primers.
Right.
Travis, you could go Jim's route and just use flintlock, and then you don't need primers, dude.
Well, that or his other route of not shooting.
Yeah.
And by the way, Jim is in the chat, and he does have a good point. He says, where does it go? Almost 100 people watching right now and only 11 likes. So as Jim would say, go over and hit those likes, please.
Tacos and French fries. Go get the tacos, of course. You just got to go to Taco Bell instead of like Del Taco. So there you go.
Ugh.
Signal Soldier 31 said primers don't take up that much space. When you're talking the space that you have to, so on and so forth, it can. But it's everybody stocks up for what they think they need, and that's what it is. And I can't sit here and as much as I like to, and as I kind of did, preach about having hoarding too much, but if you think you need 50,000 primers, then go ahead. So
I need 100,000.
Well, there you go.
I say it at the end of the podcast. It's not a matter of if, but when. And now is when.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at, I feel like some horrible stuff coming down for us shooters.
Yep.
Maybe.
But you know what needs to happen is people need to quit putting their energy into this and putting the energy into getting people off their dead fucking asses and go vote.
Make sure you timestamp that one, Mike. You're going to have some editing to do on this one.
Yeah, you can't say
will.
There, dude.
So, and Spudman76 said some people can't resist stocking up. It's like candy to them. And yeah, it is. I mean, it's the same reason that people collect guns. So, I'm looking at it from kind of a double vision here. I'm looking at it from personal, but I'm also looking at it from someone who's trying to bring more people into the industry, or not into the industry, but into the hobby. And I can't because there's nothing for them to get. So, and that's kind of my frustration is that's where I'm at is I'm trying to get more and more people in, but we can't because you've got people that are standing there waiting to buy everything as soon as it hits the shelves. So
I like GGW Reloading. Basically, he just said for Jim, when he was back in the day, when he was using slingshots to hunt, he used to powder A-locks those rocks.
That's awesome.
I smell a new T-shirt
Okay,
idea. Can any of you guys picture Jim in a loincloth?
Right now, I can't picture it.
I don't want to. So, numbers wise, a conservative could never win an election. Liberals severely outrun. That's a fallacy. That's an absolute lie and an excuse. There are a lot more conservatives in this country than liberals. Liberals just make more noise and get off their butt and go vote. So, and Idaho Rogers USMC said, "Give them some of yours." I have. So, but yeah, I mean, I have given away. I've given away probably since this started. I've probably given away 1,500 shot shell primers and probably almost 1,000 small pistol, so people can actually have a chance to do some loading. So, but
see, and I like that you do that, Mike, because it does. It's kind of a double-edged sword because you also give away your stuff, but you bring someone into it. But in the same sense, they get hooked on it, and then they can't find stuff to do, what you just helped them get into. I said, part of my idea was setting up my new reloading room is if someone wants to come over, I'm more than happy to have them come over here and I can show them how to reload. And it's also a fun hobby, reloading. I like to shoot, but I also like to reload, and that's part of the fun of it.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and I mean, a conservative estimate is 7 million new shooters. That's a conservative estimate that they're guessing on. Between the NSSF, where did they go?
You're kind of sounding like that the president of Remington now, Mike.
No, that wasn't the president of Remington.
Who was it? What's that video I'm thinking? The one where the guy was just
Federal
complaining the whole time.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I mean, that's part of the other reason on why you can't. I'm sitting here looking, and they're talking about prices of equipment now. Well, that's part of the why, because you have all these new people. We've got all these new people that keep coming in and wanting to join reloading because they can't find ammo, and so they're adding to the issues.
Yeah.
No, what I'm looking for is I thought I had the NICS totals for the year, and I don't know where it went, so screw it. But anyway.
But yeah, basically, just figure 7 million new shooters. Let's just say they're brand new coming in the gun store, 7 million new shooters. They buy one handgun, one rifle, whatever. They want to leave with some ammo, right? So they're going to buy minimum one box. More than likely, they're going to buy a couple of boxes. So, yeah, say 7 million boxes of ammo off the shelf, 14 million boxes of ammo off the shelf, whatever, just from brand new shooters. And that's just one or two boxes.
Yeah.
Some of these people come in. Yeah, some of these people are, like you just said, coming in nervous. So they might buy an AR and, want to buy a case of 1,000, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, that adds a big strain. But I think the biggest one is a lot of shooters already out there, like we're talking about now, basically buying up everything you possibly can.
Yep.
When I go to the gun shops and stuff, I see new shooters in there. Yeah, you can tell the new gun owners. They might be looking at some boxes of ammo, trying to figure out if this is the right one for their gun or not. But usually it's the guys I see who are just buying ammo that they don't need just because it's sitting there.
Yep.
And I know guys who buy ammo off the shelf for a caliber, like a gun they don't even have, just because it's sitting there and they'll figure it out later.
You know what I forgot to? You know what I still forgot to do, guys? Bring my manuals in from the garage. So talk for a second. I'm going to go grab them, and then we're going to get into actual powder dispensing. I'll be right back.
Thank God he didn't say hit record, huh?
So, Travis, if
So,
I
Jason?
sweeten the pot with a couple of sleeves of primers, do you suppose you could send me my package?
I'm actually considering sending you that package very soon.
Are you?
I am.
You're considering it.
I've been considering it, yeah.
I think you've been considering it for quite some time.
I know but now I'm seriously considering it.
Oh, now you're serious. Kind of like you're serious about stocking up on primers and this won't happen again.
Well, hey, Jason, next time you order, this won't happen again. I learned my lesson. But Nick, do you have really much problem? Because I'm assuming you're not out there shooting thousands of rounds for some of this surplus stuff. Are you having as big a problem finding the things that you need for your surplus rifles?
What I've ran into recently is a lot of the brass. Like on some of the oddball stuff, like for instance, I'm looking at getting into 6.5 Carcano for my Italian rifle, but they just brought in the Royal Tiger. I don't even know how many Carcano rifles early last year, and everybody's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a rifle." Wait, now I need dies to reload for it because nobody makes ammo. So Lee has been sold out for 6 months, and then brass is sold out. It's just sold out everywhere on that. But that's really the only issue I've ran into. A lot of it's either that or bullet molds. I haven't been able to find bullet molds for a lot of the things. But other than that, I haven't had much issues.
All right. So.
Hey, I got that one.
Yeah. How about this one?
I actually just got rid of that one to a friend, yes.
That one?
I do have that one too.
Which edition was that one?
That's
the
I recognize
the 8th or 9th.
Say the 9th or the 10th.
That was
10th
the 9th.
10th has the 2 rows of rounds like an X.
I have that one too. I have that one too.
I got that one in hardback.
And this is that silly shot style stuff.
I got that one too.
So, all right. So,
this is a good one to get if anybody's looking at like precision hand loading.
Yeah, I looked at that at Shot last year, and it's on my list to get. But I haven't.
It's a nice. It's not super thick. It's a nice little one on just precision loading. So,
I have not seen that one, Nick. I'm going to go look for that. Another one that I just picked up too is Lyman just came out with a. I don't remember what they called it, but it's basically like for loading for your AR.
Oh, they
nice
did?
little one. Yeah, I forget what they maybe they call it for the modern sporting rifle. I don't know, but it was a good one to pick up, and it was about the same thickness as the one Nick just showed.
So, why do we want to have reloading manuals when we're getting to the point of checking powder? Can't we just take the case and dunk it in the powder and then slap a bullet on?
You gotta level it off. Fill it to the top and level it off. Yeah. No, don't do that.
The results might not turn out well.
Yeah, so basically your reloading manual tells you your recipes so you know how much powder and which powder to put in there so you don't reach dangerous pressures. Because it'd be really bad to put the pistol powder in a rifle case.
Mm-hmm. Why is that?
Because the pressures from pistol powders burn a lot faster than rifle powders. So if you put the same charge, say 26 grains of clay, whatever, into a rifle case, you would blow the whole gun up in your face.
So when you say recipe, are we like looking in like Betty Crocker's Cooking for Kitchens, or
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of, except for in the reloading world.
Yeah, so you'll open up your manual. Let's say which one you're going to reload for, Mike.
9mm, 115 grain. Oops, I don't want that. I want that.
Yeah, so you'll figure out what you're wanting to reload for, and Mike's going to reload for 9mm. Then he's going to decide which grain of projectile he's going to load. Maybe he's going to consider he has some kind of an idea of powder that he might have on the shelf. If not, this is a good opportunity to look in his manual and have a list of recommended powders. Now, what do you think about this, Mike? It'd be nice to have a manual that had every single powder you could use, because I know when I first started off reloading, I would open up that manual like you got right there, and I would look at those powders, and I would think to myself that that's all the powders I can use. There is no other powders. I am only restricted to these powders. And then I got another manual, and I kind of realized, well, this manual has some powders that cross-reference to this manual, but it also has some other powders in there. So that's when you kind of realize you might want to get several manuals like Mike's got right now. If you notice, he just looked at the Hornady. Now he's looking at a different manual because he's kind of looking at different powders and different projectiles and stuff that he can choose from. So yeah, it's kind of like a recipe. You got to pick your flavor and what kind of toppings you want to put on there, and you got to figure out how to put them all together. And that book tells you how to do it.
Yep. Looking for. Oh, okay. I saw a comment and I wasn't sure if it was a question. So, all right. So, I mean, Lee probably lists more powders per load or per bullet grain for the most part than most of them do. I mean, here, your 115 grain jacketed bullet, there's probably, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 27 different powders listed. Hornady had like 9 in their reloading manual.
Well, it is good to mention.
Lyman had like 5.
Okay. Well, mostly when you look at like a Hornady, they're just going to tell you just their projectiles. They're not going to go outside of the scope of their projectiles.
Right.
But like you're saying, the Lee, it's going to have a bigger array of projectiles to choose from. I know the one you have right there in your hand, it not only has a full metal jacket, hollow points, it's got cast, it's got more variety.
Yeah.
So if a new reloader, I guess you should say, if a new reloader is going to only use like Hornady projectiles, then it's okay to get the Hornady reloading book. But if a new reloader goes and gets a Hornady book and picks up a different brand of projectile, he might kind of run into some issues where you kind of get confused at what you got because the projectile doesn't match the book.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, even Sierra has a pretty good selection of. I mean, Sierra is bullet manufacturer, so they're using theirs. So, but each individual one has different information, and then you've got the powder companies, which all list stuff too. So, I mean, you've got all that too. So yeah, for the 115 grain, Hornady lists either an FMJ, round nose, or hollow point. They have 11 powders. So it'd be nice if somebody had a collection of all of them, but I don't know.
That'd be a pretty thick book.
Yeah,
It'd be nice. Maybe even digital would be nice, but
I don't think anybody does. So
see, I'd like to get with. I've been talking to Full Lead Taco a little bit. I think it'd be cool because you get a lot of questions with powder coated bullets, how to reload for those.
Yeah,
and I've talked to him a little bit about this, and it'd be real nice for some of us who have been reloading powder coated bullets for a long time, say Elvis Ammo, Meaty Taco, some others I've been thinking about, to make a reloading manual specifically for powder coated bullets, because I don't know of a single one that shows any reload data for specifically powder coated or high tech coated projectiles.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
So, like Lead Bullet Junkie just said, he said, when you're looking up load data for a bullet, make sure you're looking at recipes for the bullet you're using, because I see a lot of new folks confuse lead data with plated and FMJ. So, and that's kind of the thing, is you got to watch what type of bullet you're using. If you're using a plated bullet like I am, you can't load them to full metal jacket specs, because that light copper skin isn't going to hold up. It's just like, I usually load mine more towards a cast bullet. So powder coating, there's differences on whether they say you can actually use it as a full FMJ or not.
Yeah, that's where it gets iffy, but yeah.
So that's kind of your challenge with that. So I was going to look and see what the Sierra app says, since the app's different from.
If I had to tell a new reloader to pick up which manual, I really do like that Lee manual that you got. They haven't released a new one, have they? Quite a while.
No.
But that Lee one you have, it does have a good variety of plated, full metal jacket, lead, all that. It's a good, and it's got more. Mike, how many did you say that it listed? Like 11 different projectiles and stuff?
No, that was powder.
Okay.
27 different types of powder for the 115 grain FMJ hollow point.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, they list cast, so all sorts of stuff. So we'll take, it's about the same. There might be a powder or two more that they list on the app that they don't necessarily list in the book for Sierra. But the nice thing is the app gets updated quicker. So
yes, and Sierra, that app, I've got the same one. It's a pretty nice app.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have both the Sierra manual and the Hornady on my phone and tablet. And the nice thing about that, it uploads it whenever they have new cartridges. Uploads it. Like, I think that new 6.8 Western, I was reading, is going to get updated onto the Hornady here shortly.
Oh, really?
That's what I'm hearing, but I'm not going to see it until I hear it. See it.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, because I'm pretty sure that Hornady had something to do with the development.
Mm-hmm.
What the 270 Wisdom should have been.
Yeah.
6.8 Western.
Basically, it starts where the 270 stopped. So.
Well, the 270 Wisdom, yeah.
Winchester Short Mag.
Yep, sorry. Yep. But yeah, I just suggest, like, for a new reloader, if you're going to start getting into something and you've not done any reloading at all, and you pick up whatever projectile, let's say it's Hornady, get the Hornady manual for it. It'll make your life a little bit easier.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I don't know if you run into it, Mike. Someone will ask you, like, hey, I've got these 115 plated projectiles, and my book shows brand X 115 plated projectiles, and they get nervous because they don't want to deviate from, like, exact wordings in the manual, and they get kind of nervous. So it is nice if you're getting into reloading to get the manual for the projectile. When you get into it a little bit more, you can see where you can kind of cheat things and switch stuff around a little bit. But for the brand new guy, having the projectile and the book to go with those, it just helps you out quite a bit.
Yeah.
Makes it and gives you more confidence, I should say, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, they're kind of continuing to talk about the powder coated.
Yeah. See, Lead Bullet Junkie, that's where I'm at with stuff right there.
There's different. I've heard different people do different things with powder coated bullets. GGW Reloading said talking about pushing them about 2,200 feet per second. I've heard of that. I've also heard of people that won't push them over 1,800 unless they put a gas check on them. So,
there's a lot of variance there. We're gonna get talking about how hard, like what kind of alloy.
Yeah, that's a whole different topic and a whole different game. So, Lyman does make a cast or a lead bullet reloading manual. So, if you're shooting a lot of lead or you're shooting lead powder coated, it's probably a good one to pick up. So,
and it's also good to note. Let's say you pull out one manual. Let's say Mike's looking at the Hornady 115 grain, and then he pulls out another one and he looks at it, and it's telling you a complete different starting and max load. And then you pull out another one, and it tells you something different. So then you start getting worried. Where do I actually start? Where can I end? Yeah, and you actually just clicked on the comment that reminded me of that.
Yeah, so West Covina Dodge said, am I the only one that has an anxiety attack working up a new load with 20 to 30% difference of starting loads over 5 books? I usually need to sleep on it before loading. No, you're not. So.
Yeah, even us seasoned reloaders start questioning stuff.
Absolutely.
I guarantee you, Mike, if you opened up two of those books and looked up some, I would pick a rifle cartridge, but I almost guarantee you'll get 2 different reloading mins and max.
Yep. So actually, all right. So we've got, this is Lee and Sierra, 115 grain jacketed bullet. Blue Dot. Sierra's starting load is 7.3. Max load is 8.3. Lee's starting, well, actually, their starting and ending is 8.0. So I guess that's not necessarily a good comparison. But yeah, we'll take a look at rifle here.
Yeah, well, and we know, Mike, a lot of this stuff, I know Hornady is one of the worst. A lot of their recipes have kind of been lawyered. Yep. So there's some of us who know how to read your brass and the pressures and that. And when a book tells you this is the maximum, but you don't see any pressure signs, you can, it's not, I'm not going to tell you to do that, but you can usually push the limits of that book because they've lawyered up a little bit and got those books to say lower than you really can go. But like I say, you might look in another book and you'll have a complete different maximum charge in 2-3 books, and you won't know what's actually the safest maximum for me to go. And that's where you get nervous because you don't want to go over and have something happen.
So here's the other thing that factors into that. What rifle are you shooting?
Yeah, what seating depth are you seating them to?
What's your seating depth? What's your overall length? What are you shooting them out of?
So here's a pretty good example, Mike. You just reminded me. So this new rifle I got, I have another bolt action that I've loaded for, and I am using Sierra 55 grain hollow points, and I went exactly off of their load data for that and the powder, and it shot great out of my 1-bolt action. But I put it into this new Ruger I shot, and I went out and I noticed some pressure signs. And then so I brought it home and I started using like the case gauge to see how far from the lands is my projectiles and that. And I got to seat those projectiles way, way deeper than what the book calls for.
Yeah.
So what I was actually doing was I verified it with some rounds here. When I would drop the bolt, it would actually be pushing the projectile into the case, which was actually shortening up my boiler room in that case and getting spikes and pressure. I mean, I didn't have anything dangerous, but I could just see the primers were showing signs. But I went off of the actual load manual as to what it said, but that wasn't what my rifle liked.
So, yeah, I mean, there's all these different factors. To give you an idea of an actual example, so I'm at 308, 125 grain, 308 Winchester, using Vitavori N133. Your Sierra starts at 37.9, goes to 42.9. Lee starts at 41.1 and goes to 44.9. So you're talking a whole 2 grains of difference in the max, when you can have loads where 1/10 of a grain pushes you too far and pushes the primer out of the case. So that's kind of what he was asking, is how do you figure that? And no, you can't just kind of add them all up and do an
average.
An average. It doesn't work.
Well, that's why you kind of always hear kind of older reloaders telling newer reloaders, just reduce it by 10% and work up.
Yep.
It is safer to go on the lower end and work up.
Right.
It's also, no book I've ever seen puts you on the lowest end, because you can run into some issues if you go too low, where you can run into some severe stuff that way. I've never seen a reloading manual who puts anyone in the low range in any kind of danger, but the high end is where you kind of want to stay away from. So generally it is good to not start right at the max.
Mm-hmm.
That's like I run into issues all the time. There's no reloading data for some of these cartridges I load for.
Right.
Oh yeah, I imagine that's got to be real butt clenching sometimes, Nick.
And that's a whole different topic on we can get into in a different show, is trying to figure out, okay, this case, the volume inside is close to the volume of this. That's one thing I like about the Lee manual. They give you I don't have the manual on hand. If you go to one of the cartridges, the volume and CCs.
Yep.
And you can find the one you're loading, something close. And usually, I'm not saying trust me on this,
right, you
can figure out a powder close to that you can kind of do some research on. Hey, will this work in this rifle, in this cartridge? So,
Nick, is that when you have your dad pull the trigger for the first time?
No, I usually, if there's a round that I'm really nervous if it's going to go off, I will for sure wear eye and ear protection, of course, as always. But what I will do is I will either string it or get the round where it's going to go in a safe direction, have my finger on trigger, and look away, lean back. And that's usually what I do the very first round, if on most guns, if I'm worried about the load. But other than that, most of the loads I do, I've done a couple days, if not a week or two, into review, looking at research, reading the forums. It gets into some pretty deep diving on some of these cartridges.
Mm-hmm.
So Nick is leaning back, one of the safety factors that they mentioned in the manuals.
Yes.
I was just gonna say, your dad's lived a full and great life. I'm sure he wouldn't mind being the first one to pull the trigger on that.
Nope.
He usually puts me in front anyway.
Sounded real obituary,
can bounce back.
Yeah, I see your dad exactly, Shrenda. If I read the obituary and I seen that this guy was into hunting and shooting, I'd be giving that widow a call. I'd be
There you go.
calling up Nick's mom, seeing what's up.
Well, all that
Travis.
would be going to my house, that's for sure. None of that's getting sold. That's all going to me.
Travis, I know I don't have anything of value to you, but I'm already writing up my trust to donate most of
Oh,
mine.
cool. You know, the funny thing is, I honestly did this not too long ago. I brought my daughter down to the gun room and I said, "Listen, kid. Now I've told your mom that some of this stuff costs less than it does. So if something ever happens to me, I need you to promise me that you will at least research some of this and make sure it's sold at a higher price than what I have told your mother."
That's funny.
Ah.
She's the trustworthy kid.
How old is she? Because she has
She's 14.
Oh, she is teenager age. Okay.
Yeah.
So the other thing you find in different manuals, like the frustrating thing in the Lyman 50th, it does not list 115 grain FMJ.
That's in the which one? The Lyman?
Lyman 50th. It
That's
says
weird.
115 jacketed hollow point, and then a Barnes Tac XP.
Oh yeah, let's not put in one of the most popular projectiles in our reloading manual.
So if you look in the Hornady, they actually list the FMJ round nose and the HP XTP together. So
here's just another real quick thing for a new reloader too. While I'm thinking of it, if you go buy, let's say you buy a Hornady die set.
Yep.
Just keep in mind that they usually they will machine their seating plugs for their projectiles because they want you to use their projectiles, their dies. So when you see people in the comments or something asking, why am I getting this ring around my projectile when I'm seating it? Well, that's because the seating die they're using is incorrect. And that's an annoyance to me, like that they make specific. I mean, it's good, but I wish they had other options too.
Right.
We've talked about just a good thing to do is the old hot glue gun trick where you fill the seating plug up with some hot glue and kind of form it. But I didn't know that when I first started off either. And I was getting terrible indents on some of my projectiles. And then I found out that that's because like Hornady, their seating plugs are specifically for
their bullets,
their projectiles. Yes.
Which makes sense. So, whereas, something like a Lee is going to be more of a universal.
Correct. And yeah, I give that to Lee.
So one of the things, if you guys are watching this video and you're seeing them talk about seating length, and off the lands, and for the most part, most handgun reloaders are not going to be doing that. Now, there is an email that somebody sent that I need to read at this point in time.
Idaho Rogers, you're going to have to get past my daughter first.
Right. Come on, computer. So, we got an email that was kind of a rant, but a deserved one. And this is about the perfect time to bring it in. So, COAL or OAL is cartridge overall length or overall length. Most of the time with your handguns, especially if you're loading 9 and 40, 45, 380, something that's going to be loaded heavily in a semi-automatic, you're going to stick to that, or you're going to use magazine length as your overall length because it needs to fit in a magazine. Even with revolvers, you're still going to have to stick to that overall length because, Jason, what happens if you make your cartridge in your 500 Smith about 0.3 of an inch too long?
too long, it would probably not the cylinder wouldn't rotate.
Okay. So, all right. So the gentleman says, I started with episode 1 a month or so ago and just got caught up. I found a rabbit hole I liked so much, I tied an anvil to myself and threw it in. When I hear it doesn't matter with pistol cartridges, I get pissed. I have a 44 Magnum rifle. When I first got it, I had better groups with my Blackhawk, so I started reloading and things got better. Biggest problem is measuring based ogive on a 432 hardcast. Gas check bullet. Yes, I slugged the barrel. Remember the anvil. The other problem is finding info or being told that's good enough. I'm down to a 5-inch group at 100 yards out of a lead sled and 5 rounds within 40 feet per second of each other. My Boyd's stock will be here in a few days. I'm ordering more bullets and looking at different powders when possible. If you could cover pistol caliber rifles in general for a show, that would be awesome. And he says, if you have any suggestions, I've been hand loading for 3 years, but still under 300 rounds in a large quantities. Just precision is my goal. I don't know anyone else that reloads. Moved to the UP of Michigan a few years ago, 5 years ago. So,
Mike, did you say that guy started at episode 1 and he's caught up now?
well, that's the problem. I mean, that right there is why he screwed up, because he was listening to everything.
Mike, make sure I want that guy's address. I want to send him something.
So,
You gonna send him my package, Travis?
I'm going to send him your package. I'm sorry, Jason. You don't need it anyway.
Obviously.
Yeah, you got a scope. You got a scope for that 338 yet?
Nope.
Okay, you don't need that package yet.
Right.
So, when we say generally, I mean, we're generalizing here. So, what happens is most of the time we're talking to the majority and we're not specializing down the rabbit hole. Pistol calibers out of rifles is becoming more and more popular. I mean, back in the Old West, that was a necessity because you only carried one cartridge. So, Lead Bullet Junkies probably nailed it right on the head. He says it could be twist rate on his rifles different than what his Blackhawk barrel has. More than likely, I'd probably put $5 on it because I'm cheap. But I would say probably the twist rate on the pistol is going to be different than the twist rate on the rifle. So you're going to wind up compromising when you make that load and try and get precision. You can get precision out of the one and not out of the other, but it's a matter of trying to balance that to find that happy medium. Hi, Gracie. Oh, you want to be on the show? Fine. Oh, I don't need kisses. Good grief. See? Hi. So, I mean, you don't... and you could... If you spend enough time working on it, it's entirely possible, don't get me wrong, it is entirely possible that you could get the right powder, the right bullet weight, that you will find that perfect node that works well in both of the firearms, and you get your goal. I'm not saying it is highly probable. If there are different twist rates, it's probably not highly probable, but it is possible. Thanks, Gracie.
Well, but here's the problem, though, Mike. You're kind of limited to, you have to basically stick with what works in your pistol,
right?
Because you can't have some that works in your rifle and it doesn't work in your pistol.
Yeah.
Let's say you got to seat it longer for your rifle, and it won't fit into your revolver because it's seated too long. So your limitation really is to your pistol there.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, with the pistol, you're limited. With pistols, loading for pistols, whether it's a semi-auto or a revolver, you are very limited in what you can do. Now, people consider the Thompson Contender a pistol. Okay, fine. I think it's a single-shot firearm, and I don't necessarily consider it a pistol because it's more like a rifle. You can change that seating depth on that bullet a lot more than you can on the rest because you're not constrained as much on the rest of the handgun on a Thompson Center or other single shot firearms. So that is kind of Paul Nelson said most pistol caliber rifles have the same rifling rate of twist. So if that's the case, then it's a moot point, and it's just a matter of spending the time and effort to do the rabbit hole testing that's required to find what works in both. You're still going to be limited by seating depth. That's not an option. The Blackhawk, you can only go so far, and then your cylinder won't turn.
Yeah.
Or even worse, it turns once.
Yeah, let's say also you kind of push the limits with your pistol load, and then you shoot that through your rifle. Well, you actually get more pressure through your rifle. I mean, that's just part of it right there. So yeah, it can take some time. You might have to go back and forth and actually settle on. It might not be the best. It might be better for one than the other, but you'll kind of almost have to settle on what kind of a happy medium. I would love to have a 357 Magnum set rifle and pistol.
I have the revolver. I need to get the rifle.
That'd be sweet.
So we're going to say goodnight to Jason because he's pulling a gym there and kind of dozing off a little bit. So
good night, everyone. I'll see everybody next week.
Yeah,
Hi,
this
Jason.
episode went a lot longer than it should have because we were venting and coming up with I was coming up with stupid ideas on other stuff. So Lead Bullet Junkie said, I haven't done much testing with my Marlin Lever and Red Hawk in 44 mag, but he found a load in 44 Special that works great in both. Maybe that's an option. So, it's one of those things that you're going to wind up playing around with till you figure it out. So, but we'll get more into overall length when we talk about bullet seating next week. For now, we need to throw some powder. So for throwing powder, there's a lot of different options. So, I mean, I've got a crap ton of scales. I am going to go with, I've got a crap ton of powder up there. What I actually load mine with in my 550, which I promise you next week will not be here. It'll be there because I have drill bits. So this is tight group. And as you can see, yes, I've left it a little here long because it's kind of stuck to the side. Static cling's a terrible thing. But this is 4.6 grains of tight group. So that's my powder charge. So I can use this, which is a case activated. So basically what that means is I can spin this around. I can run brass all over the place until I actually run a piece of brass up into where that powder hopper is. Ow. You can see that sticking down. Until I shove that up in there with a piece of brass, that will not dispense any powder. So most of your progressive presses have some sort of setup like that. We have everybody's least favorite scale in the world, the Lee Safety Powder Scale. I'm just going to kind of show this. I'm not going to bother setting it up and everything. But when we were talking about this, and we were talking about it a few weeks ago, how it's kind of a pain in the ass to use, this is why. So if you look at those measurements, if I can hold still long enough, which I can't. Good grief. I suck. Anyway. All right. Sorry. I tried. How this works is you can kind of see the numbers now. So there is a adjusting screw here. You've got the little ball here for your tens, the adjusting screw for your single grains, and then for your tenths of grains, you've got this slider. And it's kind of a crapshoot until you really get good at using this. So that's why a lot of us don't like it. You can get very accurate with these things, but it's a lot of work. It's great that they cut, it's a lot of people's first scales because they buy that Lee kit, that anniversary kit, and it comes with it. So it's magnetically dampened. So that means that it's not just going to swing all over the place. So that's good. And you've got old ass scales like this one. So this is actually how they package this thing in styrofoam. This is a Herder's. This one was fluid dampened, and it actually sits on a little wire. So I can get it out. It's a pain to get out. So, but for what this was and what it is, other than like 30 pounds, so you've got your fluid dampening here. So this well, you would put like a transmission fluid or motor oil or something like that, something with a little bit of viscosity, so that when this moves back and forth, it doesn't continue to go wildly. If you look right here, you can see it's just a thin wire this thing's sitting on. So that was pretty amazing. It's got a spring here. It's got your adjusting here and here. And then this is for balancing. This is where the thing goes. The other amazing thing for this is it's got a little bubble level right here. So you can tell if your base is level. Because if your base isn't level, then you're kind of screwed in all of this because you'll never get an accurate measurement. Ow. So I just want to kind of show that off as that. I've also got an old Redding one around here somewhere. I don't know where I put it though. Anyway, so then you've got your other types. You've got your newer RCBS, M500, which is their newer style. This one's still in a box because I haven't taken it out of the box yet. Haven't had a need to. See, when it comes to measuring, I'm kind of like Travis. I'm lazy. And I don't want to fart around with a manual scale if I don't have to.
I don't know if I should be offended or happy about that comment.
Probably both. Although, actually, Travis, I don't think we're lazy. I think we're being green. We're energy efficient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've also always heard the saying, basically, get a lazy person to do a job because they'll figure out the best way to do it.
Damn right. So, all right. So I'm going to turn my camera off for a second while I relocate it. My goal is I've been trying to get my, just like I was trying to do before, I'm still trying to get my GoPro to work as a webcam. However, it's not new enough.
Yeah, I got the brand new one, Mike. I told you I could get it to work. It has been a pain in the butt. I can't get it to work. So.
Well, the nice thing, see, I'm on this is a Mac Mini.
Oh, okay. You can get it to work then.
And the nice thing is, it's just easy. It's you download an app and then it's plug and play. If you've got the 8 or the 9, which I'm not going to go buy one because
here's a funny story. They charged me for a second one, so I have a second one being delivered in 2 days.
How did you pull that off?
Did not order, but they charged me for it.
Oh, that's nice of them.
Hey, Mike, switch to me real quick while you're fixing your stuff up. I'll fill in. This is just something that I thought I'd just show you guys. Maybe someone, I know other people do something similar, but I've started taking empty labels off of the powder I'm using and I save them. And then I stick that onto my hopper, and it just comes off real easy. But I stick that on there so then I know what powder I'm using. You can also see I've used to just label it right here and put right on what I was using, but this way you can really visually see exactly what you got. you don't mix something up. Sharenda, do you label your hopper in any way? Or do you
Yep.
just empty it out every time you're done?
Well, I usually just put enough in there that as long as I'm gonna use it up within 24 to 48 hours. But for the most part, my hoppers are labeled.
Yeah, I don't store powder in them, but I don't empty them out all the time either. If I'm going to be doing a run of something, I keep the powder in there until I'm done, and then I'll empty it out.
Yeah, I mean, they claim put them back in a container, but usually if I get going, I'm just gonna fill it up until use it until it's empty. And I got one of those I have a mobile label maker, so it just prints off from my cell phone, and I just stick a label on it.
So Paul Nelson says, buy a grease pencil and write the powder on the hopper. But Paul, mine looks a lot nicer. I mean, that looks nice.
And I like justifying buying gadgets.
Well, what are you talking about? Buying a pencil? You already have this, right, Shrinda? When you're empty, you just throw your bottle away. So you just peel this off.
No, I don't do all of that. Here, let me
cut it off with a pair of, tear it off, cut it with a pair of scissors, and it's sticky enough. It still sticks to your hopper.
No, I actually have a label maker, or I use washi tape.
What tape? Washi?
Washi tape.
Never.
WASHI. It's like the best tape in the world that doesn't leave a residue and reusable. It's a crafting thing.
And Mike is back. Nick, I think every week you need to move those guys just ever so slightly more forward.
Well, the two Navy ones can't move because they're on the wall. This guy can, but those guys can't. So
yeah, that was the one that freaked me out that first week. I was like, get ready to message and be like, "What? Somebody's behind you."
I got another one in the corner, but he doesn't have any pants on.
That's why he's in the corner.
Well, when I bought him, I bought the two Navies. It's a chief petty officer corpsman's jacket, and I have another of the white Cracker Jacks all at an auction for like $10.
Oh, that's nice.
And that the petty officer jacket didn't come with any pants, so I gotta get pants, a white dress shirt, black tie, and then the correct hat, and then he'll come out on the floor as well. So, and then
I gotta say, I really appreciate you kind of sprucing the place up. It
needs some work. Well, hopefully here in a couple weeks, I'll have some of my reenactment stuff with me. I'm gonna put a table with my I have like a field desk that has a typewriter, some other World War II stuff with it, kind of like some personal items. It's gonna go right there. So,
sorry, Mike. Are you ready now? You gotta unmute yourself. We don't know what you're telling us.
All right, so this is a beam scale. Kind of self-explanatory. It's called a beam because it's got a beam that goes across with weights. This is a RCBS M500, 500 grain capacity. And one of the nice things about this one is it is right or left-handed. A lot of your scales are not gradiated. And that's what I'm calling the marks. I think it's called gradation, or I don't know. I'm screwing it up. Anyway, because I really don't care. But what the correct term is. But this actually has all of your markings on both sides of the beam. So you can use it either way. So like while I'm sitting here, I can have it facing you. And obviously, as you can see, this is bouncing all to heck because it's empty. There's nothing really there to keep it from swinging. So, but that's kind of, and there's a grain to gram conversion card in here too. So, but get that out of here. It's not what I wanted. That's here. All your scales come with manuals. Read them. They're very, very helpful and very, very necessary. So, because it'll tell you how to use it. So it'll tell you, like here, it says left-handed versus right-handed. It tells you how to calibrate it to show that it's balanced. So if you look here, you can see the three little, I guess, arrows that are sticking out. When the line is even with that center arrow, that's when it's balanced. For those of you who might have been watching when I was doing this wheel right here allows you to move that up and down to balance it. So now for powder, I was going to kind of show a couple of different powders, but kind of ran out of time on that. So I did show Tight Group. Oh, no, it's not open. It's my open one. Oops, that was messy.
Yeah, and for a new guy starting off, it's very, very, very important to make sure your scale is leveled. Because if you start off and it's not leveled, you're gonna think you're throwing the correct powder charge, but you're gonna be off. And it
should I
be
just pour
off.
this in right? Should I just pour that in like that?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Can I also make a suggestion for the newbies? Make sure you get down there and get eye level with it and don't just look at it from the top or the angle.
Guess on the water glass, you get I don't know if it's a parallax effect like you do in a scope, but you get a goofy effect that throws it off. Now, what you can do is you can do one of two things when you're doing this. When you're using a manual scale, you can either set it to the charge you want and add or remove powder until it balances. It's kind of a pain. Some people do it. Otherwise, what you can do, what I did, pour powder and start changing your weight until you find out. Now, what some people will do, and I've never really subscribed to this, but they'll take their thumb and they'll hold the beam while they're adjusting. So it doesn't bounce as much. So now I'm at, is it 25? I think. Yeah, 25 grains, and that's too much. So then I'll back it down and let it go. So now it's not enough. So this is 500 grains in each of your larger increments is 25 grains on how this is scale. And then here it is 0 to 5 grains in 1/10 of a grain increments. So what you kind of do is you just kind of slowly listen to your dog whine because she wants back up in your lap when you're busy. And this is one of those reasons to hold this when you're moving this. I'm going at a half a grain each time. But you also got to make sure it doesn't stick. And so you may get all the way up to this and find out, well, that didn't help. So then what you got to do is move it all the way back down. And then try moving your balance again and see if you moved it too far. And using scales like this, it does take a bit of getting used to in how it moves and how it works. So you may find as you go that it takes a little bit different effort. So now I kind of know that I've got it in that right setting on the main weight because I actually moved it and it's moving. So now it's a matter of finding that correct balance until you get to the right. So this one isn't necessarily my favorite scale either, but it really shows up well on camera. So, but there you go. I mean, and this is what Sharonda's talking about by getting down level. So I'm looking to make sure that that's even. So we currently have .7 grains of powder in that. So, so now what I'm going to do, and Jorgen said, don't get down to the level of your scale. Put your scale on a shelf the level of your eye. So. And what that means is that you're not looking like I just did, but rather you're actually standing and looking even. So that's the better way to do it if you can.
Yeah, the other nice thing about putting it on a shelf, Mike, is it isolates. Sometimes when you're pulling your handle on your press, your whole bench can move a little bit.
Yep.
So I like it on the shelf to isolate it from any of that.
Yep. So now what I did is I've had the fancier powder measurer sitting here warming up for a while. Let me see here. This may take some moving around. So, all right. So now this is a Lyman. The heck? Brain fart. Lyman Gen 6. The compact version. I think they make two different versions. One's a lot bigger. Here's your display. I poured the powder in there. As you can see, I spilt a little bit of powder. So, but I'm at 22.6 grains. So, and I did calibrate this first. As you look over here, you'll see the check weight. That is to calibrate your scale to make sure your scale is actually correct. You can do that. You should do that with your manual scales too. Get a check weight set off Amazon or wherever you want to get it from. And what Paul's talking about by the knife edge is most of your newer scales rest on a fine little edge, and you can see there as I rotate it, kind of. Stupid camera. There's kind of a really good, you can see it's got a flat spot on it. There's actually a really, let me see if I can get this to focus here. Get that out of the way. There. So you can see that it's not round all the way around. So what he's talking is these edges, you got to make sure you keep them clean and clear. And then also where it sits on the scale, you got to make sure you keep that clean and clear. Normally I would not have scales with everything else because a lot of the prime, when you're doing this, you're going to be doing more than just measuring your powder. And so what happens is you bump it and it screws everything up. So you can also use your hand scales. So like I've got this one here. Some people have had good luck with these. Some people have not. I've always had good luck using it. But this is the little simple Hornady. And they've actually got a newer version too. But I mean, it's just a simple little scale. And it comes with and a check weight. So this one is 100 grain. So, and when you fire them up, you calibrate them and all that. Let them warm up for a little bit. Obviously with that one, it's battery operated, it turns off after a few minutes. So warming up's not an option. Warming up is more specifically for like your big powder throwing ones. Now the Lyman here I just showed you, you can actually program in how much powder you want to throw out, put it in the hopper here, and then it'll dispense it for you. So
that Gen 6 there also has probably the best clean out of any digital scale.
Yeah, I saw that. So the Hornady that I've got in the garage that's collecting dust because it doesn't work right has a little nozzle that sticks out. This one here actually flips down and it's got a nice tray and then a little chute that you open.
Well, it goes better than that, Mike. Have you not tore yours apart yet?
I haven't pulled it out. So
okay, well, so the nozzle where the powder comes out, they give you a little tool to use, but you basically take off the hopper and then you can put this little rod down in there in the hole in that dispenser tube, twist that nozzle off completely, and then that little trap door area, you push it in and the whole thing comes out.
Yeah.
And you can empty out every bit of powder and you don't have to like pick your scale up, shake it around.
Yeah.
I used to have this one. I sold it to Sharinda. That was the best thing about that scale by far. I have the Frankfurt IntelliDropper, and that one. Yeah, you got this exact one right here.
No, I don't.
You do.
What happened to it?
What'd you do with it? No comment. The IntelliDropper, I have to pick it up and shake it out, and that's the annoying thing. But Lyman did really good with that little trap door. That's the best feature on that scale, really.
Yeah. I wanted to show pouring powder in, but unfortunately, all of my loading blocks are not made for 9mm.
Yeah, a little short.
I know, shocker, because most of my loading blocks I use for rifle, so I don't really do this for hand or for pistol. So, so as you can see, there isn't really much surface here. So when you take all your different powder funnels, this is the Lee style, kind of, and this is an actual Lee, so you can see the similarities. The bottom here, these are designed to go over the cartridge or over the brass, and then you pour the powder in. And there's different styles. This has got different sizes. It's this has got just a regular opening like the Lees do. But I mean, they're designed, this has got a smaller hole in the bottom. And so you'd set it like this normally. If you had a actual damn it, loading block that you could actually put your brass in and have it sit upright, then what happens is when you set your scale, it goes down like this and seals on the case mouth. That's why I like this one, because it's for smaller ones. Whereas most of the rest of these, it kind of does, but not really. So, I mean, you can buy cheap scales, you can buy expensive scales. When you're watching this video and you look, you're going to see a lot of different suggestions for a lot of scales. So, kind of that. So what I will do is I will actually get out my, I'll get out my Forstner bit and I will make a loading block that I can actually put 9mm in. And then next week, I will actually show you what it looks like to pour a charge into a case and do what is actually literally charging a case. So, but I mean, that's kind of covering powder weighing. The other thing that I didn't cover is the powder dippers from Lee. Some people hate these things, but this actually is not weighing a charge. So this is by volume, like Nick was talking about earlier when he was talking about the Lee manual. And they slide all over the place. I say I'm missing one. And so they go everywhere from 0.3 of a cubic centimeter all the way up to 4.3 cubic centimeters. And sometimes you may wind up using more than one. So I should probably put it on the camera so you can actually see it. And then what they do to figure this out is either in the manual, the Lee manual, it tells you what your CCs is. Otherwise, they send this along with, and what this is this is your calculator, essentially. As you're looking at it, it's going to list your powder type across the top, and then your charge weight. And then when you actually look here, it actually has your dipper sizes here. So it's not going to be a direct exact match. So you're probably not going to find an exact, I'm looking here. What am I looking for? Looking to see if they've got, there we go, tight group. So, and it's on both sides. So, and you can actually get new ones of these from Lee that are updated. This one's a couple of years old. Oh, this one's 2003. So, but what I want is I want to scroll through until I find my powder. If I put it in correctly, that would help. So, dang it. Okay. So I look for tight group, and as I look through right here, it's not going to be an option because I go from a 3.5 to a 5.9, and I've got a 4.6, so that's not going to work. Sometimes this just will not work. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. And sometimes the powder dippers don't work. A lot of pistol cases, it doesn't necessarily work. More for rifle. But that's another one. And when I had my 308 load that was 0.33 MOA, I did that powder dippers, not by weighing it. So you can get very consistent with the powder dippers. What you wind up doing is you actually want to not pour it into the dipper, but you want to take the dipper. Quick, should I get a match? So, sorry, I've got the powder open. That's a joke. Let's see if I can get the... No, not going to be able to see it. All right, sorry. I had a cup that I had for this purpose, and I don't know where it went. But what you do is you actually... So we'll pretend I'm dipping it into the powder. You actually push the dipper down underneath the powder at an angle, and then let the powder flow into the dipper. You don't scoop because you're never going to get consistent. So you would actually, like, say I was going to use this jar, which you could, I mean, but I'm going to push it in and let the powder flow into it, and then pull it out. And usually what I'll do is I'll use a business card to wipe the top to make it level and consistent. Tight group. You will find with the powder dippers, certain powders work well, certain powders don't. So, but that's kind of the basics of pouring powder. Like I said, I will actually have it set up so we can actually show you what it looks like to charge a case next week. And I'll show you different powders, a couple of different powders on how an extruded looks, how this flake looks from tight group, how a ball looks, and how they look different in there. So, but that's all for next week. So, the actual audio podcast will not be this long. I'm going to take most of the stuff that we talked about the first hour out and just put the charge. I'm talking about charging the powder on there. So.
Okay, we'll try next week not to derail the conversation as much, Mike.
Yeah. So, all right, gang. So we'll kind of go into the rest of the finer details of that. I forgot to show this off. So this is another powder dispenser. So how this works is it's actually micrometer adjustable. You kind of use this as you're adjusting, and there's a cavity in here that when you move the lever, picks up powder, brings it back down, and then dumps it down through here. So, and then this is something you can either put on. It's designed to either go on the press like this with the threading, or like this is a bracket, so you could actually bolt it to a bench. So,
or the way it was, that hole that you're looking at on your table, that one right there, you actually put that under your die.
Right.
So then that's hanging off the side of your press.
Yep. Yeah, you can do it that way too. So it's kind of a kind of different options. And then you'll find different ones with different different lengths, different sizes. The other thing you're going to do is most of your dispensers like this that have the rotary setup, they're going to have two of these. They're going to have one that's chamber sized for pistol and one that's for rifle. Obviously, pistol is going to be smaller. Your adjustments are going to be smaller. So, and then you've also got your Lee auto discs, which I'm not going into because I don't recommend anybody use them because they're kind of a pain in the ass and they're not very consistent and they're messy as hell. So, all right, gang. You can find us on Facebook for now, MeWe, Discord. If you're on Facebook and you want to get to MeWe or Discord and you can't find the links, send me a message, and I will get you the links. Reloading Room is also we're also getting that presence over to MeWe. Facebook, for those of you who aren't on Facebook a lot, is really, 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 really becoming not 2A friendly. So Discord's actually a really awesome place. If you're not on there, you should be. A lot of chats and conversations going on there. A lot of good advice is being done on there. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being with us. Sorry it was kind of a shit show compared to what it should have been. But I guess we kind of needed to talk about a little bit of that too. So thank you to everybody who is a consistent listener of the podcast. Thank you. Oh, and this will get added in later, but to the audio. But thank you to Primary Arms, who's now a new show sponsor. They came and partnered together with Firearms Radio Network, and they're sponsoring a few of us shows. So we'll get into more Primary Arms stuff later. But they've got some sweet optics, and actually, it's more than just optics on their website, primaryarms.com. Take a look. They've got all sorts of stuff for ARs, for AKs, for Glocks, 1911s, a whole bunch of stuff on there. So, and then one day we're going to have a show once Paul Nelson gets his reloading room set up. We're going to have a show on nothing but Paul's scales. So he can kind of show you what he's progressed through and also why he has what he has. So, I mean, you can get any sort of cheap scale. You can use your beam scales. You can use the powder dippers. You can do all sorts of different stuff. And it's the effort you put into it on what you're going to get out of it for consistency. I mean, heck, there's some bench press. There's some bench press shooters that this is their measuring device. Literally, they have a piece of brass that they've cut down and they load by volume.
Yep.
So it's not necessarily what you use, it's how you use it. And that's going to be your big difference in measuring powder. So, all right, gang.
I tell my wife all the time, too.
Lots of men tell their wives that. And then their wives laugh. And the men cry. Thanks to our Patreons. Just awesome. Thanks for all the support you guys give us too. So,
if more people want to go sign up to be a Patreon, Mike, how do we do that?
So if you want to be a Patreon, you can go to patreon.com and search for Reloading Podcast, or you can go to firearmsradio.tv/reloading-podcast, and the links to sign up there are there. We've got a $5 and $10 level, which are just a basic entry level. It's support for the show. The $20 level, you actually get the Patriot Patch of the month. And then the $35 level, you get a $25 gift certificate to Patriot Patch Company every month. That's where we're at with that. So that's awesome. Great. Just things are going well. I mean, yeah, it sucks that you can't find components right now, but hang in there. It'll get better. And yeah, like I said, it was a stupid idea that I was saying. I was tossing it out there. It was a dream world thing. And no, I wouldn't actually expect that because that's ridiculous. So, but on that note, keep your brass shiny.
Jump on the Milsurp short bus.
It's not a matter of if, but when.
In Jason's famous words, keep your powder dry. Sharenda's. Teach a lady to reload. She just might like it. And the old man. We're going to go back to
Get out there and shoot a 40.
Nope.
They're the best.
Squeeze! Don't yank that trigger. You gotta squeeze it. Squeeze it.